Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg, the Fitness Gourmet. Welcome to Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well. Well, all we seem to talk about these days is movement for aging, movement for wellness, and movement to keep us sane in this crazy time that we're going through. My guest today is Susan Fink. Susan has always been passionate about fitness. She is from Los Angeles, mother of four, personal trainer, marathon runner, group fitness instructor, indoor cycling instructor, and overall one of my gurus to go to for fitness. She works with her clients both in home, in her studio, and also does telemedicine as well now. So we are going to provide that information at the end. And it's Susan's belief that her continued movement will provide the quality of life that her clients seek. Now, I really want to just mention before we start talking is that Susan goes way above and beyond. Like I said, all we're talking about movement, but we're going to talk today about why we need to move, not just for the obvious reasons, but there are some things that we don't even think about why we need movement for longevity and going forward in our lives to be very healthy, mobile, and functional at a ripe old age. And let's hope we all get there. So, welcome, Susan. So nice to see you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
We always open up with, how'd you get interested in fitness and why do you do fitness? But I think we're going to go past that right now and talk about really the nuts and bolts of what movement and fitness can do for us now.
My grandmother, who always did a lot of traveling, was in the sisterhood of her synagogue, was in the sisterhood bowling league until she was 90.
Wow.
She lived to 102. She
Amazing.
was always active, trying to, not just in terms of movement, but being involved in this club and this thing. So, this is what she did. My mother is 91. She does live in a senior community. She she's now that I don't know, they let her back in. She last week she went back to volunteer at Kaiser.
Wow.
She did her water exercise class last week, and she does another exercise class. And of course, everything's really scaled down in terms of the amount of people who are. But this is what she does. And yes, of course, both of these women probably have very good genes. But I think one of the reasons why, in addition to their genetic makeup, that they're able to do the things that they're doing, even as they've been so old, is because they've always done it. Being able to move and continuing to move and to travel and keep their mind good has given them their longevity and their functionality. And so that's my model. So me at 64, I can still do cartwheels because my mother could do them at 60, at 40. I know at 40 she could do them. I don't know at 60. So I make sure that I can still do my cartwheel because
Yes.
that was my model,
Yeah.
and that's what fitness can do.
So, yes, you have two shining examples in your life of people who kept it up as they age. And so, we're going to talk about a little bit of the modifications of that also. So, what do we need to do to stay healthy as we age?
We need to move, some type of aerobic exercise and strength training exercises. This is in terms of the movement part. So moderate, number with about 150 minutes a week. Vigorous exercise, you can do fewer minutes, so only 75. And then 1 or 2 days of strength training because you want to keep your muscles strong. So it really helps your stamina and your endurance. And the strengthening really keeps your body strong, which is very important because we want to, by having a strong body, it helps prevent falls.
Yes.
So we keep our balance, it helps prevent falls. Uh, as we move, we will sleep better. Sleeping is one of those things that's very important as we age. So we need to move, we need to sleep. Also, uh, by getting a good night's sleep and certainly by moving, it's a way to help reduce our stress, which is also one of those key things as we age, because stress reduction really takes its toll on our physical body. Um, and we want to maintain our brain health.
So, tell me about sort of the specifics about how fitness helps brain health. That's always that's a big topic right now. People are talking about that.
I understand it on two levels. One, through our movement, we keep the blood flowing. We really keep nourishing what's ever going on up here with new cells, new blood supplies, new oxygen. So we're keeping it going. So of course, as we're just sitting here, it's still going, but really in full force. So by movement, it helps do that. But also as we move and it's not just the movement, but as we learn to do new things, whether it's a new exercise or a new way of holding some, doing something, brushing our teeth with our non-dominant hand, it changes some of the neurons in our brain. And so that helps, that makes a difference. So it doesn't happen overnight, but over a long period of time, and I'm like probably it starts after about 2 months, things can make a difference. So if you like to do ballroom dancing and you haven't been doing it, put a video on, do something, get yourself going, learn new steps. That's, it gets your heart going, gets that blood pumping, but it also gets those neurons going by learning something new. And I know sometimes in my classes, I'll have people do these dual tasking too. It's not, I mean, we all think, oh yeah, I can walk and chew gum. Well, no, not like that. But as they're moving to try and go through the animal, the letters of the alphabet and coming up with a new animal and this is a simple version, or a name. And certainly if you just do female names versus male names, it's much harder. But, just kind of using our brains as we move also kind of creates those new neurons being developed.
That's an amazing approach. I hadn't heard about that before. Is because we talk about multitasking to the point of confusion is not good.
Right.
But if you're doing a physical activity and a little brain teaser at the same time, it actually enhances your brain. One of the
And because it's
things,
not the same kind, excuse me, just because it's not the same kind of multitasking. When we
right,
think
right,
of, because we do multitask all the time. And I'm not talking about, I used to watch my son when he was in high school, where he would be texting people, listening to music, writing a paper, watching a video, he would do so many things. Yeah, so then you're not doing it well.
right,
But just simple things like when we're in the kitchen, as we are cooking and thinking about the next thing that we're just following a recipe, even, you have to do more than one task at the same time because you're reading and stirring. I'm not saying adding on a whole lot of different things, but just walking down the street as you're looking where you're going and anticipating the crack in the sidewalk and that you have to step over it. That's multitasking. That's an
right.
everyday thing. So we need to keep our brain sharp just for the everyday normal multitasking, not the, big stuff.
Right, not the busy work that drives us nuts. Susan, one of the things we're talking about across the board is balance. So talk to us how we can improve our balance with age.
On a very simple level, make sure that you get your eyes checked. Make sure that you're seeing properly. See your doctor if you're feeling any dizziness. There could be something going on in your inner ear. So some of it's just on a physical level, um, and do your best to get it to sleep every night
Yeah,
well. And I know that there's studies and studies about sleep, and we all try, and it doesn't always work. But sleep is very important to the functioning of our brain, which is going to help keep us in balance better. And then to keep our bodies strong. When you think of it's not just a matter of just standing up and bouncing on one leg, but just the whole idea of walking. We lift one foot up and then put the other one down. So we're always on one leg at one time. But over time, if our legs aren't so strong and we don't feel so confident, that's when people shuffle. We see
right,
people shuffling,
right,
and that's when you trip. And when you can't lift up your foot and the sole catches on the ground. So simple. So keeping your legs strong so that you can stand up and sit down. Well, that's a functional movement, but just as your legs are stronger, that will help you lift them up and walk better. And that's just your legs. You want to keep your core strong because that
right,
keeps you upright. As we get a little older, or certainly not as strong, it's not even all about age, and we kind of slump over, that changes our balance. because our bodies are not designed to walk this way. So then we change our gait, and then we have other postural issues and other kind of body issues. So
Yeah, so posture is a key part of this. And I like that you mentioning of people being very deliberate in the way that they walk. That is, I see a lot of older people shuffling and moving side to side or walking on an angle, because they're not really walking with purpose. They're a little bit. So talk to me about core exercises. Do you just have a quick couple basic ones that people can do? Because not everybody understands how the core is affected by exercise.
one is, this isn't really a core exercise, but really learning how to breathe properly, um, by taking in a deep breath and letting it go all the way down into our abdomen. Because a lot of times we think, oh yeah, take a deep breath and we suck it all in.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to suck it in. You want the air to fill your body, and that makes your posture better over time. So it's not a core exercise necessarily, but it does help that. Um, Even just standing up and lifting a leg, and I'm not saying you have to balance, but even holding on to something and doing a knee raise. Think of when you're lying down, what when people do sit up, how they bring their knees to their chest. So you can be standing up, learning, keeping that good posture. And as you bring your knee up and then lower it, that's using all those muscles in the center of your body. So that's definitely something that's easily done.
Yeah, and we're not going to gyms right now, but one of the things that I see a lot of people do is they just won't do anything. They're home and the world is shut down. And I know that, we've been talking about that so much. You had said to me that a lot of people say, "Can't I just take a medicine to deal with my health issues? Aren't doctors supposed to be making us healthy?" Yes, they take care of the diagnoses and the medicines that you may need, but we need to take care of ourselves. So what are you telling people who are homebound? We all are to some degree right now, unfortunately. So what are some quick things people can do at home? Maybe just a quick overall body, something every day. So
We
we
have
talk.
so many resources at our fingertips. And
Mhm.
no matter where you live and the size of your space, you can do so much. So I'm just going to push my chair away.
Okay.
So one way to to work on your legs, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm going to stand up and I'm
Mhm.
going to sit down. That's easy for me. It's also the chair's kind of high, it makes it easier. But even doing that in groups of 10 or 15, and you do 2 or 3 sets in a day, and then you make it harder by anyway, that's something you can do. And you didn't have to buy anything. You didn't have to put on a special video. It's just you'll be watching TV and doing the same thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Most of us have, look at minimum, we have an alarm clock, but a lot of us on our phones have, you can set alarms so that every hour or less, you're standing up, kind of rotating, reaching up, just elongating, what's been sitting for so long. Um, we all have countertops. So my desk is right here. We have
Okay.
countertops where we can use that for balance. We can try and do a push up without, oh, I can't do push ups. Well, you have a counter, you even have a wall.
A
You can
wall.
do it
Mhm.
this way,
Right.
um, and use that for balance. So as you want to raise your knees. So there's all these things you can do. And certainly just walking out your door and walking around the block. It takes just a few minutes, but you do that in the morning, maybe again in the evening. And I realize I'm off camera here. Um, the minutes add up and you are able to do things.
So, what do you say to somebody who is more immobile? So, let's talk about two things. People are, you and I are in this together, Susan. We've talked about this in all the years that I know you, is to get somebody to understand they don't have to take it all on. They look at a fitness video of somebody who has a perfect body and it's a 90-minute video and they can't keep up, so they just give up. So, let's talk about how to get started.
First, try and figure out what your goals are. So if it's just, I mean, because I talked about sleep, there's also stress reduction. So it could be meditation.
Mhm.
You want to talk about diet, and we talked about movement. So there's a lot of things that all go into keep this healthy lifestyle. If you're not doing any of those things, choose one. Figure out how you can start doing one thing. And once you start doing that, and after a month, and you're feeling like, yeah, okay, I'm meditating, or I'm working on my, you don't even have to be together. You don't even have to be in the same city. You have a phone. You can have a conversation and still walk to, you both can be walking and have a social visit and get some fresh air and get some movement.
That's a great tip. What about some fitness tips for at home? Some things
And
people
if
can
you're
do
at home,
at
there's
home.
so much you can do, as I said, just with a chair. You can stand up, you can sit down, you can use your counter, you can, do some rotation. If you have stairs in your house, or you don't even need a lot of stairs, just a step up and step down. That adds to the aerobic part, and it definitely uses your leg muscles. If you're in a chair and you can't move, just even raising your knee up, doing knee raises, extending your leg out, doing leg extensions, all those things help get you moving. And it's still movement. And it's what you can do where you are with the capacity that you have. Everybody's in a different place, but we all can be doing something.
What about for the upper body? Just some quick suggestions for upper body if someone is in a chair or wheelchair bound, let's say.
Raise your arm,
Mhm.
raise your arm. And I can do this very easily, but I know that if I went outside and grabbed 5 women my age, some of them would only get their arm out to here. We're very tight here.
Mhm.
So you want to be able to
I'm gonna put
work
mine
on stretching up. I think it's easier one arm at a time.
Mhm.
You're going to be a little bit more mobile. We also want to turn our heads,
Mhm.
head side to side,
Right.
relaxing your shoulders, keeping them down,
Mhm.
ear towards your shoulder as you're
Mhm.
looking forward. And you're going to feel the stretch here. It's a little bit different. Chin towards your chest. You're going to feel it again a little bit different. And certainly if your opposite arm is behind your neck, you're going to feel it differently. But we sit at a desk all the time, or we sit down a lot.
Right.
And so we want to stretch out here. We want to open this up here. Um, and you can arms behind you. I have a client, she can't get her arms around and she can't even stand up, but she can press her hands on the side where she's sitting. And, she's very much like this, and she can open herself up and it makes her feel great. I don't, she'll probably never be able to get herself off the chair, but she can at least open up. And then she looks 10 years younger. So I always tell everybody,
Yeah,
just
so tell
open
me
up.
what you get also some tips about things we can use at home um, besides just the desk, like using books as weights, or like what are some other tips you have there for some resistance training to the body without having a gym at hand?
Well, as I said, you have your chair, you have your counter. Okay, I'm grabbing at my desk, so I don't have anything. Oh, but this is heavy. I have my tape dispenser,
There you go. Hmm.
which is a little bit heavier than, so to reach up, to curl, arms out. But we have cans, which are the smaller cans. They're not a lot of weight. They're easy to hold. If you want something heavier, those gallon jugs of water.
Right.
You
Right.
can even just standing up and holding one on
I
one
keep one here,
side.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're holding it on one side, it's going to weigh us down.
Hmm.
And this is a core exercise. By standing up, holding a weight on one side, you have to engage your obliques so that you're not tipping or overcompensating one way or the other. And one of the things I'm starting to do now, doesn't take up a lot of space, but you have to go out and get it. And this is it's a standard size, a 4-inch, a 4-foot dowel. I just put chair tips here. This is a band that I'm going to tie on one side so I can make it kind of like a weight. But even just doing something like this, which helps our shoulders, we
Right.
can do things with our hips and doesn't cost very much and it doesn't take up space. That's always a concern. People say, well, I don't have room for equipment. I get it. You don't need to have a lot of equipment, and it doesn't have to take up a lot of space.
Right, that's the idea of being creative. What do you have in your house that you can work with? I like the idea of picking up the tape dispenser. Those do weigh a ton, and you can use
Yeah,
it as
it's
a
right
weight
here.
while you're
So
sitting. Yeah. So not only do we want to get up every few minutes, we also want to move our upper bodies as we're sitting as well. I know that a lot of us are taken to watching a lot of TV right now. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's a lot of some fun things on. But you can do push-ups against your couch while you're watching TV. That's what I always say, or just get up and move. So in closing, Susan, uh, we've talked so much about the different things you can do with limitations, or getting out. I love the idea of going for a walk, and if you have a friend on the other side of the country, have them on the phone and you're taking a walk together and talking. I know it goes a lot faster when there's somebody there than when you're by yourself trying to count minutes and so forth. So in the age of coronavirus, we are trying to encourage people to move and to take care of themselves at home with not only fitness, but sleeping and mindfulness, meditation, eating well, all those things. They're wonderful. So any closing remarks on encouraging people to do this as we go?
I would just say, don't be afraid. Why do people don't exercise? Mainly because we're lazy, and that's not a cut to anyone. We just like what we have. It's that
Yeah.
comfort food. We
Yes.
know we shouldn't eat it. We know it doesn't agree with us. We know, but it makes us feel good at the time we're eating it. So, that's what not moving does. It just, we know how we feel, and we know if we move a little bit, we might feel some discomfort, or we might. So don't be afraid of all that. Um, Try something. Figure out what you might like, and then just do it. So put on some music, dance when you're cooking. That works.
Mhm.
It doesn't, it's not rocket science, but we think it is, but it's not really. So my advice is just to think, to kind of to go back in your mind,
Mhm.
what has made you feel good in the past? If when you went outside, if you felt good, go outside. If you just stretched once and that made you feel good, figure out how you can do that again.
So Susan, I want to also, are you welcoming people by telemedicine at all right now, or online?
Absolutely.
Okay. You can all get in touch with Susan at www.trainwithsusan.com for more information, and contact her there and maybe set up some at-home fitness to get you going, because I think that that's another thing is, if you're encouraged by another person, don't be intimidated. Don't let it be so overwhelming to you that you don't start at all. We always talk about every little bit helps. Just get started somewhere, and it will make all the difference in the world in your life.
That's
Susan,
it.
thank you so much for joining us today, and health and happiness to you as always. And look forward to seeing you on again.
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.